You ever notice how the worst days start out gentle? Soft light, cool air. Nothing in the wind to tell you trouble is coming. That morning was like that. Sun just easing over the east ridge. Frost still clinging to the wire fence. My old bay gelding shifting under me. Patient as a preacher waiting on late churchgoers. I had been ranching near 40 years by then. Long enough to know cattle. Long enough to think I knew bulls. That was my first mistake. The bull in question was a big red Brangus. Heavy shoulders. Neck thick like a stump. Scar down his left flank from some old fight. He was not mean. Not by reputation, but bulls do not need a bad reputation. To ruin a man's day, we had turned him out in the north pasture with a group of cows late that spring. Grass was good. Water tank was holding. Fences were solid. It was meant to be a simple check. Just a routine ride. Look over the herd. Make sure nobody was limping. Make sure nothing had pushed wire overnight. Routine is a dangerous word in ranching because routine makes you relax. And relaxed around a bull is just another word for careless. I remember the smell that morning. Sweet grass warming under sunlight. Leather saddle warming too. That faint dusty scent that always comes once the frost burns off. I remember hearing meadowlarks off in the distance. Nothing in that scene felt sharp. Nothing felt wrong when I topped the small rise overlooking the herd. I counted heads slow like I always do. 1, 2, 3. You learn to count without looking like you were counting. Cattle noticed tension. The cows were grazing steady. Calves kicking up their heels. And there he was. The red bull. Standing off a little separate. Not far. Just separate. Head down, then up. Watching. Now I'd seen him 100 times. He would usually glance, then go back to feeding. But that morning he did not go back to feeding. He just kept watching. That was the second mistake. I told myself it meant nothing. A bull watching you is common. It is what they do. I rode in slow circles around the herd, let my horse drift easy. Checked a young cow that looked a little stiff. The bull kept drifting too. Not charging. Not threatening. Just adjusting. Matching the angle. Subtle, like he wanted to keep himself between me and the cows. Now that is natural behavior. Protective instinct. And I knew that. I had worked around breeding bulls most of my life. You give them space. You show no challenge. You do your work calm, but calm can turn into complacent. And I let myself drift closer than I should have. I wanted a better look at his back right leg. Thought I saw stiffness. So I stepped down from the saddle. That was mistake number 3. Never put both boats on the ground. Inside a pasture with a mature bull, unless you have absolute control of distance. And I did not. My gelding shifted uneasy, ears flicking back. He felt something before I did. Horses always do. I took 3 steps toward the herd. Not toward the bull. Toward a cow, but to a bull that does not matter. Movement is movement. Space is space. When I turned slightly, I saw him lift his head higher. His body went tight. Not explosive. Not yet. Just tight. You can see it if you look close. The skin around the eyes hardens. The head tilts sideways. One front hoof digs. Not dramatic. Just enough. I stopped walking. Looked at him square. Did not lower my gaze. Did not challenge. Just steady. He blew air hard through his nose. A deep rolling sound like distant thunder under the earth. My horse stepped sideways. That was the first true warning. I started backing toward my saddle, slow. Never turn your back on a bull. That is ranch rule number 1. The bull took 1 step forward. Heavy. Deliberate. Ground thudding under him. I felt something cold move through my stomach. Still no charge. Still no outright aggression, but tension had thickened the air. I reached for the stirrup, and that is when the world changed. It did not happen with a roar. It happened with a shift. One blink he was standing. The next blink he was coming. Head low, neck straight, shoulders rolling like a freight train. There is a moment in danger where your mind splits in two. One part panics. The other becomes crystal clear. Mine went clear. I did not try to outrun him. You cannot outrun a bull. I lunged for the saddle horn. My horse felt it too late. The bull closed distance faster than I believed possible. The ground shook. That is not poetry. It shook. I swung my left foot into the stirrup, but before I could pull up, the bull slammed his head sideways into my horse's hindquarters. The sound was sickening. A solid, dull impact. My gelding screamed. Not a whinny. A scream. He bolted forward. My right foot missed the stirrup. I was half hanging, half airborne, clinging to leather. The bull came again. Second impact. Harder. This time he caught my boot. I felt the jolt up through my knee. Pain shot sharp. I hit the dirt flat on my back. Sky above me. Dust filling my mouth. You do not think long in moments like that. You move, or you die. I rolled hard to my right just as the bull's hoof came down where my chest had been. The force of that stump punched the breath from my lungs even without contact. He turned fast. Faster than something that size should turn. I scrambled toward my horse. But the gelding had broken free and was running for the fence. Good for him. Horses choose survival. I cannot blame him. Now it's just me and that bull. Open pasture. No tree close enough. Fence 30 yards away. 30 yards is a lifetime when something is trying to kill you. He lowered his head again, and this time there was no hesitation. He charged. I ran. Not in panic, but in straight line calculation. You'd never run straight away from a bull. They track movement. You'll angle. You'll make 'em adjust. I veered left. He adjusted. Veered right. He adjusted again. He was faster. I felt heat at my back. Felt the rush of displaced air. I dove sideways. He missed by inches. Skidded in the dirt. Turned. Snorting. Now his eyes were not curious. They were hard, fixed. There was no bluff left in him. He meant to end it. I saw the fence line ahead. Barbed wire stretched between cedar posts. Not high, but high enough if I could reach it. I sprinted. Legs screaming from where his horn had clipped it. Boat slipping in loose soil, I could hear him behind me. Each breath like a bellows, heavy, hot, closer. I grabbed the top wire and threw myself upward. Barbs tore my palm. Shirt snagged. The bull hit the fence a split second after I cleared. The whole line shuddered. Posts groaned. Wire snapped. Not all of it, but enough. I landed hard on the far side, rolled, came up to my knees. He was pushing through. That was something I had not planned for. A bull does not always stop at wire, especially not one committed. I scrambled to my feet and ran down the fence line toward the gate. Gate latch was heavy chain. My fingers fumbled it. He burst through the weakened section behind me, not slowed, just angrier. Dust cloud around him. I threw myself through the gate opening and slammed it shut. Dropped the chain into place. He hit the gate full force. Metal rang. My whole body shook. He pushed, tested, then stepped back, head swinging. Sides heaving. For a long moment we just stared at each other through that gate. Me on one side, he on the other. I could see foam gathering at the edges of his mouth. Could see blood where wire had cut his shoulder, but he did not look hurt. He looked furious. After a minute that felt like an hour, he turned, walked back toward the herd as if nothing had happened, as if I had imagined it. My legs went weak then. Not during the charge, not during the run. After, when Danger stepped away, I slid down the fence post and sat in the dirt, breathing slow, hand shaking, boot torn, palm bleeding, knee swelling. Alive! That was the first thing I felt. Alive! And very aware that I had nearly not been. You would think the story ends there, but the real part begins after. I did not ride back into that pasture alone again. We gathered 3 men, 2 horses, and a trailer. That bull was moved that week. Not shot, not punished. Just moved out of breeding rotation. A bull that turns once will turn again. That is hard truth, but this story is not about removing him. It is about what settled into me afterward. I had worked cattle since I was a boy. I had been stepped on, kicked, thrown, but I had never been hunted. That is what changed me. There is a difference between an accident and intent. When that bull looked at me before charging, there was decision in it, and I had ignored the warning signs. I replayed that morning in my head for months. The way he stood separate, boy, he matched my angle. But the way my horse shifted, ranching is not about domination. It is about reading. Reading land. Reading weather. Reading animals. The moment you think you're in charge, you stop reading. And that is when something bigger reminds you that you are not sitting here now. Fire cracking, night stretching quiet beyond the glow. I can still hear the sound of his hooves behind me. Still feel the wire cutting into my hand. Still smell the dust he kicked up. But I also remember something else. I remember how alive everything felt. How sharp the air was. How clear my thoughts became. Life narrows in moments like that. Stripes down to instinct, to breath, to movement. And after surviving it, you carry a different kind of respect. Not fear, respect. I still work cattle. Still ride. Still trust good horses. But I do not step into a pasture anymore without feeling the weight of what lives there. Every animal has space. Every creature has a line. And when you cross it, you'd better be ready. That bull did not wake up evil that day. He woke up being exactly what he was built to be. Powerful, protective, unpredictable. The mistake was mine. Thinking routine meant safe. Thinking years of experience meant control. Out here, control is a word we use to make ourselves comfortable. Truth is, we borrow safety from the land, from the animals, from the weather. And sometimes the loan comes due. If you ever find yourself in a pasture with a mature bull, remember this. Watch the eyes. Watch the shoulders. Watch the way he places his feet. And if your horse shifts uneasy, listen. Because that animal beneath you might just save your life. Mine did. Even in running, he gave me the seconds I needed. So when folks ask me what the most dangerous animal on a ranch is, I do not say rattlesnake. I do not say horse. I say a quiet bull on an ordinary morning, because danger does not always announce itself. Sometimes it just stands there watching, waiting for you to believe everything is fine. The fire is burning low now, and I have told this story more times than I can count. Not to sound tough, not to sound brave, but to remind myself that respect keeps a man alive longer than pride ever will. And that was the day a red bull reminded me, who truly owns the pasture. Now you throw another log on that fire, and I will sit here a while longer listening to the night, grateful for every ordinary morning that feels too gentle to matter, because sometimes those are the mornings that change you most.